Bitcoin is like a coiled spring nearing burst of price volatility. This not from me, this from CoinDesk. Hence the title, a huge opportunity for Bitcoin traders is coming. I guess we can discuss later with Dan whether that means it's going to be on buying a big dip or buying a big rip. But I think that we all agree that it is Bitcoin's time to shine with regulatory and legislative clarity coming and adoption happening all over the world. Now, on Thursdays, I've got a regular guest who's going to be joining us besides Dan, which is my good friend Edan Yago from BitcoinOS. We have a lot to talk about. This is going to become a Bitcoin-focused show on Thursdays, and I absolutely can't wait. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Going to go ahead and bring on Yago right now. You were a very familiar face on the channel for a long time anyways, and then you started actually doing a recorded show, but then we realized it's probably a lot easier for you just to come on here on Thursdays.
Hey, Scott. I'm coming to you from Crypto Valley in Zug. I was just at the world's worst party. It's like designed to be the world's worst party. It's the Davos conference. Man, that was terrible.
Yesterday, you know Gaurav, right? Do you know Gaurav Dubey?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was there obviously as well, and we had him on the show, and he was standing out in the snow like a local news reporter. It was the funniest thing we've definitely ever seen on the show. But so listen,
it's to be the next CNBC.
It was not on purpose. I didn't know he would do that. He just showed up that way. But it's interesting because I would say that, as you alluded to, the World Economic Forum kind of like the worst place on earth for people who believe in decentralization and Bitcoin and freedom and libertarian values. But it seems like everyone goes. What are you guys doing there?
Well, I was in the area, so I just stopped by. I was actually in St. Moritz, yeah, but it's kind of, I see it as like a sort of like corporate tourism. Go to see the mothership. So I did. It's really interesting. It's a sleepy little village which has zero capacity for this size of a conference, and so you have these like 400-year-old Swiss houses that have been completely boarded up with giant billboards for like companies, consulting groups, and countries. It's the worst.
Did they tell you that you would own nothing and like it, or that you would eat bugs and like it?
Well, actually, I ended up orange pilling a whole bunch of suits. So like I was wandering around talking to people, and I would start conversations around Bitcoin, and they were like, I don't know, I don't understand the Bitcoin. And then, half an hour later, they're like, oh wow, I can use this for tax evasion. I'm in.
Exactly. Great. We're going back to our original ethos. As Ross walks out of jail, like, we're going to start hearing about how it's only for criminals and tax evaders once again. So listen, I mean, I know that you and I don't generally focus when we talk on short-term Bitcoin price because it's kind of irrelevant, but it's still worth noting that sentiment's still very bullish here, right? I mean, I think everyone agrees Trump is just getting going. ETFs are just getting going. Institutionalization is just getting going. And this is kind of going to be crypto's golden era, as it says here. As we alluded to in the title, if you're checking charts, it's been trading pretty sideways. And we know that volatility eventually comes back. So hopefully that's to the upside. But either way, listen, whether price goes up or goes down, right now seems to be a great time for people who aren't in it to start taking a serious look. As you said, even the ones who want to tax evade.
Yeah. Look, the truth is that we're going through an incredible period because Bitcoin spawned the fastest growing economy that has ever existed, right? The crypto economy is, I don't know, close to a $4.5 trillion economy right now. That happened in 16 years. 16 years ago, it was a group of cypherpunks on IRC and those weirdos thought this was a dumb idea, and now it's a $4.5 trillion economy. And when you take into account the fact that this entire economy grew up during a period where it was under U.S. sanction, in the same way that the United States has been sanctioning Russia, Iran, North Korea, and Bitcoin. and it just lifted those sanctions. So I think the degree of explosive growth that we're going to see is unprecedented, is not priced in, and that's even, without talking about things like strategic Bitcoin reserve. Just the fact that this giant economy in the sky is no longer being sanctioned is huge.
Right. So I want to talk about where that value is going to end up when it eventually comes on chain. So we have a clip here of Larry Fink, who is actually in Davos and spoke and is mentioning crypto and Bitcoin, which is not something that you've generally heard on stage at the World Economic Forum. But in a conversation with Bloomberg, he had this to say. I'm just going to play it really quickly so people can see it.
Is going to play a big role. Digitization of currency, digitization of everything we're doing. I'm a big believer, and this is one thing that will change Bloomberg even. I believe we're going to be in the cutting edge of tokenizing bonds and stocks. Coming. And we have the technology now. The fact that we are now moving forward in tokenization, every bond and stock, is crazy. Yeah. We should be moving towards that frontier. Obviously, there's winners and losers and all that, but we need to be prepared for the tokenization. And it would democratize more finance if we tokenized bonds and stocks.
Hear him talk about democratizing finance. Okay, whatever. But listen, this is coming, right? And even before they filed for a Bitcoin spot ETF, if people were actually reading their yearly memos, BlackRock was talking about tokenization. Even before they were talking about how he got orange pilled and kind of started talking like he was Satoshi. So the question then becomes, if you have him talking about it's going to happen, that's my base case, first of all. I don't know on what timeline or if it will be competitive or it will actually be a wholesale replacement, but it's coming. Where is it going to happen? Bitcoiners, well, some Bitcoiners want nothing to be built on Bitcoin. Some Bitcoiners want all of this to accrue to Bitcoin. And then you have Larry Fink, who's tokenized build on Ethereum already. And we could talk about that, FUD. And a lot of people say, hey, it's going to come to a Solana or an Aptos or a Sui. So listen, you obviously believe it's going to come to Bitcoin, right? You're building tools for that to happen. But how does that happen? How does the tokenization of real world assets come to the right chain, per se?
Well, I'm actually going to take a little bit of a different sort of answer. I want to take a step back, right? Everyone thinks about this in terms of we've got all of these different chains and they're fighting amongst each other for market share. And I don't think that that's really the situation going forward. And the reason it's not the situation going forward is because Bitcoin itself is now getting programmability. And at the same time that Bitcoin is getting programmability, we're seeing the explosion of the off-chain world, right? More and more of the activity is happening off-chain. The primary driver of this is ZK proofs. And the truth is we're unbundling the chains, right? So today, 90% of the activity on the Ethereum ecosystem isn't happening on Ethereum main chain. And increasingly, it's not even happening on rollups. It's happening on applications or services that are built, entirely off-chain. And I think that's the future. One day we should talk about that more in detail because it's a pretty mind-blowing concept. But look, I had a conversation with a guy from BlackRock, and he was telling me in BlackRock, we've got basically two teams that are working on crypto. We've got one team, which is the sales desk, and they're doing the ETF, and they're selling OTC to clients, and they're the ones who are actually bringing in money and have actual customers. And then we have another team, which we call the R&D team, and they're building tokenization systems and DeFi systems, and they're doing all kinds of experiments. And they've experimented in Ethereum and in Arbitrum and on Solana. And the problem we have is that our clients are not interested in any of these experiments. What they want is Bitcoin and BTC. And so what we're hoping for is to find a way that we can bring these two teams together so that the R&D team can actually start selling to our clients. And the missing link there is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the institutionalized chain, right? Like people think about XRP as like bank chain, but Bitcoin is cypherpunk chain and bank chain all rolled into one. And now Bitcoin is getting the capacity to have more programmability, more tokens. And so what I think we're going to see is we're going to see Bitcoin become the ledger of record for anything of significant value. And then a lot of the compute potentially will happen on other chains like Sui or Arbitrum or whatever. and they're going to need to integrate into Bitcoin. And so, in a way, what I'm anticipating is that basically all of crypto is going to become a layer two to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is going to play one really, really important role, which is it's going to be the global ledger. It's going to be the global settlement system.
It'll be like the Bank of New York Mellon or State Street to all the other banks and companies that are doing financial services. It makes a lot of sense. And it's very interesting. He's obviously been somewhat bullish on Ethereum. Right now, Ethereum is going through like an existential crisis, right? So you have, maybe you can summarize it, but I just want to point out this article that was kind of a part of it, which I'm laughing at. Ethereum gets Wall Street sales force as token lags Bitcoin. I don't know if you've seen this, but the Ethereum Foundation literally is funding a company called Etherealize, I believe. Yeah, Etherealize, with an 8-person sales staff whose job is literally basically to go promote Ethereum all over Wall Street. Which, I mean, it makes sense for somebody to promote Ethereum ETFs. It's a product that's been approved. It's out there. But it's almost, you kind of think about like, who would hire someone to go promote Bitcoin spot ETFs? Like, there's no foundation or person who could do that. It's just a very, very different value proposition at this point.
Look, I mean, Ethereum is stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, it is, trying to claim the position as the most decentralized compute layer in crypto. But it's not as decentralized as Bitcoin. And on the other hand, it's trying to provide, trading experiences, DeFi experiences, degen experiences, meme coin experiences, but it's not as degen as Solana. And so I tweeted a while ago, Ethereum specializes in being the #2 blockchain in every category. And that's a tough spot to be in, because, you can always just use the #1 for whatever category that you're interested in. So I'm, right now, I think Ethereum's trying to find itself. And the things are getting heated because the one person in Ethereum who's basically been untouchable has been Vitalik. And his leadership, which has been pretty light touch, has really held that community together. And I have a great deal of respect for Vitalik. I think he's got great vision. But the problem is that vision doesn't matter when price refuses to go up. People get frustrated, people attack him. And so he's been under attack from Ethereum in a way that's never happened before. And Aya, who's the head of the foundation, who's a very, very sweet and intelligent person, very thoughtful person, is also under attack. And basically the toxicity that we saw sort of emerge in Bitcoin during Bitcoin Civil War, I'm starting to see early pieces of that in Ethereum. So, yeah.
I mean, I heard that someone, the guy from Lido or something, was trying to form Ethereum Foundation too.
Yeah, so exactly that's where we are. This ultimately could help decentralize Ethereum more, because right now it certainly falls behind on the decentralization front. Look, I mean, you've got a problem, right? The reason that people would want to use a decentralized ledger is because it's incorruptible, it's not controlled by their enemies, it's not controlled by their competitors. Ethereum is clearly controlled by someone, and so it doesn't reach that level of security. It doesn't reach that level of credible neutrality, and so actually hiring a sales team to go out and try and sell it makes you more similar to Solana than to Bitcoin, and that is a very, very difficult place for Ethereum to be. Right? Ethereum can do better. Ethereum's never going to beat Solana on sort of speed and sales team and BD. The Ethereum Foundation just simply does not have the cultural cojones and hustle to have a better sales team than Solana. So if that's the market they're going to try and compete on, I think they're going to lose.
So if these institutions want to start tokenizing stocks and bonds now, we have a story here. Real world asset TVL rises to 7.3 billion as government securities dominate. I've seen numbers actually as high as 11 or 12 billion. BlackRock's funds, treasuries, obviously pretty like vanilla things that are being tokenized. But starting to be a meaningful amount of money. If they want to do it now, could it actually be done on Bitcoin, or does Ethereum just kind of become the default because it does have a lot of TVL, right? So Solana, for all the bluster, like there's just not enough TVL for the biggest institutions right now to, safely put that much money, I think, into their ecosystem to tokenize things. Seems like Ethereum still would be kind of the mental default for most institutions.
Yeah, Bitcoin is not ready right now, but I think by the middle of this year it will be ready. So like the stuff that I'm working on, BitcoinOS basically brings the ability to issue any kind of token, NFT or otherwise on Bitcoin, have them be fully programmable, have them interact with smart contracts, and those smart contracts can even be on other chains. This is a new way of thinking about Bitcoin, a new way of thinking about crypto, right? Crypto, which can it's a world of crypto which gets rid of trusted bridges and all of these other chains can be compute environments for Bitcoin. I think that's where we're going to end up. The real decisions around tokenization aren't even going to happen in this cycle. It's going to take,
I agree with that.
4 years. So by the time it becomes a real conversation, Bitcoin is going to be more than ready. Bitcoin is going to be ready, tested, and fortified.
Yeah, I mean, I love the idea of tokenization, but I think it'll be a small experiment for a while here, especially when you think about the implications and who it replaces. Right. I mean, it's easy to talk about how it's a superior technology, but the largest incumbents in the world, and you're talking about the most powerful institutions in the world, are not going to easily let go of this. Right. I mean, you're talking about like Options Clearinghouse and CME and the DTCC that clear trades.
Yeah,
they're not talking about tokenization yet. Right. So,
no. Exactly. So no, this is not happening. This is not. It's not like BlackRock are going to FOMO in to tokenization in this way. That's a much longer process. I think the biggest driver actually over the next few years for Bitcoin is going to come from a place that most people aren't expecting. It's not even a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and it's definitely not tokenization. What I think it is AI. I think we're going to see massive wealth creation in AI. I think if you look at the different companies, there's just so many of them. They're so competitive, and there's open source alternatives. They're all going to be commodified. So it's going to be very hard for XAI or OpenAI or Google or Meta or Oracle or Anthropic, to really capture huge amounts of value. They're going to create huge amounts of value, but what they're providing is compute, and compute isn't scarce. What is scarce is Bitcoin. And so we're going to see a huge amount of wealth creation over the next few years, just from AI, purely from AI, right? We've already seen it. Like if you look at the Magnificent Seven, they're $21 trillion in market cap, right? That's doubled over the last year, right? So we're talking about trillions of value being created, and so much of that is going to spill over to the one thing that is truly scarce, which is Bitcoin. So I would watch that space. I think we're going to see trillions move into Bitcoin just from AI.
how does that happen without bridging? Like
It doesn't. It's going to happen in the oldest way. Basically, people are going to be getting much wealthier. A lot of value is going to be created, but it's going to be, there's two components, right? There's value creation and value capture, right? And just because you've created value, like, I mean, look at Ethereum, for example, right? Ethereum's created a lot of value for layer twos. It's capturing almost none of it, right? The layer twos are capturing it. So basically, the question is sort of where does the bottleneck exist that the money is going to collect it? And what AI is going to do is it's going to commodify compute. It's going to commodify intelligence. It's going to commodify a lot of our jobs, right? But it's going to create a huge amount of wealth. And so where is that wealth going to get parked? It's going to get parked in the one thing that can't be commodified, which is going to remain scarce. And that's not human labor. It's not capital. It's not compute. It's not even startups. What it is Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree. And I just wonder how long it's going to take. Right.
No, I think we're already starting to see it happen. But I mean, like, look, let's play out the next 3 or 4 years, right? So we've got the Bitcoin ETF. The Bitcoin ETF is going to keep happening. We've got Sailor's going to keep buying. We've got the likelihood of an SBR, and we've got 11 different US states that are already looking to create their own state-driven strategic Bitcoin reserves. That means that other countries, like I know for a fact that Kuwait has bought significant amounts of Bitcoin, right? I've heard rumors that Qatar and the Emirates have been doing the same thing. We know that El Salvador are doing it. We know that Bahrain are doing it. I've heard that the Dutch are doing it, right? So it's just the game theory that everyone's been talking about for the last 16 years is playing out. All of these drivers are not going away. It feels like this bull cycle, this bull market is different. Is taking a totally different route. Is creating weird creatures like the Trump coin, right? Like nothing feels like the last cycles that we've seen. And I think that one of the ways that this could play out is this ends up being a much bigger and much longer cycle than anyone anticipates.
I mean, right now, this barbell, right? It's like Bitcoin on one side and the most speculative nonsense. It's Bitcoin and bullshit, right? I mean, and like bullshit. very little in between is capturing much value. I'm gonna coin.
Man, that's fantastic. You should definitely coin that. Bitcoin, the Bitcoin and bullshit bull.
Anyone who's watching, somebody clip that and put it on X so I get it out there quick before the show's over. Bitcoin and bullshit. I mean, that really has been though what this cycle's been. Listen, I'm not saying that there haven't been. Listen, I mean, XRP and HBAR and Algo and all these had their like 5-6x moment, which was out of nowhere. And you've definitely seen like Aptos and Sui and, a lot of these new kind of layer ones and Solana moving. But that's like sub 1% of anything that's claiming to have utility in crypto moving. Like 99% of it is just beaten down.
Look, I honestly think the utility component is coming. I think it's coming in later in the cycle. It's like everything's been turned on its head. Instead of, the usual cycle would be Bitcoin, then sort of Dino coins, then sort of altcoins, then sort of meme coin, then DeFi, then meme coins, right? Like everyone knows the waterfall chart. I think this one, a lot of that has flipped.
I think we should name the Thursday show Bitcoin and bullshit.
Yeah. Look, I think it's coming. I think part of the reason it's coming is because meme coins are getting saturated. Like there's 50,000 new meme coins being released every day. And then they all crash because, Trump sort of comes out of nowhere. So people are going to start looking to park the money that they've made in meme coins in something which is going to keep going up, but is less crazy speculative. When exactly that happens, I don't know, but I would expect that when that starts happening, then we're probably in the second half of the bull.
What do you make of Trump launching a meme coin? I have to ask every guest, or two.
What do I think of Trump's meme coin? Honestly, I think it's good. I think it's I think it's terrible for humanity.
I said good for crypto, bad for humanity. That was my first tweet I did about it.
Yeah. I think you're spot on.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I had a long conversation about it on Spaces, and there was a kind of a debate. Haseeb Qureshi, I'm sure from Dragonfly, who's a brilliant guy, and he was like, "This is not a meme coin. Like, I don't know who they're fooling or how they're like pretending that if you just keep 80% of something and do it with someone's actual name that's driving the value, how is that a meme coin?"
Well, here's my overall take on it. I think we're sort of on the verge of the era of non-human intelligence. And so what we're doing is just before non-human intelligence takes over, we're going to the absolute max with the era of human stupidity. So we've elected Trump. Trump is now dumping on his voters. It's retardation to the max, and it's exactly your Bitcoin and bullshit. That's where we are.
That's our new show. I think that Trump's actually about to speak at the World Economic Forum. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like.
I didn't even know he was going. It doesn't sound like.
I think it's virtual. Virtual space. He's not. He's going to fly all the way over there to talk to those homeless people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not enough trillions in the room. His response, by the way, to the we played it yesterday, but to like the question about the meme coin, he's like, yeah, I don't know anything about it, but I heard it was great. And he was like, did I make money? He was like, did I make money? They're like, sir, you made billions. He's like, yeah, peanuts.
Yeah.
but listen, at that, like, the silver lining, I think that as long as it doesn't rug to zero, it will bring a lot of new people at least into the space.
Oh, I was actually seeing some data on this. 50% of the wallets that bought in were newly created wallets. So what it looks like, and they're based on a number of different metrics, that at least half of the people buying in to Trump coin had never used crypto or Solana before. This was a mass adoption event for crypto, and they're making money now. They're going to start flipping into all kinds of other things. The amount of capital that is coming in from every single direction into this industry right now is unfathomable.
How much of it's going to come into this? The new Dogecoin ETF that's been registered for. You were around for the early days of Doge.
I've been a little bit surprised that Doge hasn't been performing better, actually.
I thought it was I thought that it was gonna be like the second biggest mover after Bitcoin in this cycle with Musk coming in.
Yeah, but
Doge ETFs. Is that where we're at?
Dude, look, the problem with you and me is we're too logical. You have to just throw the dice.
You got to turn your brain off to make money in this space. Many people have said it. Just stop.
That's definitely not true. All of the people that I know who have made real money in this space have done it by having high conviction bets and holding them forever.
Excuse me, to make money on the casino side.
Yeah, but I mean, that's easy come, easy go.
Yeah, it is. By the way, like, I don't know if you saw this. I just want to mention this just because I think it's important that people remember that the bigger this space gets, kind of the more you have to be concerned with certainly your OPSEC, but even your personal security. This was flying around yesterday that Eric Larshevek, who was the CEO and co-founder of Ledger, had been kidnapped, and then they quickly dispelled it. But actually, it was the original co-founder, David, who was kidnapped yesterday. There's no real information, and we're all you're in the alpha chat group, I think, right? I rarely check it, but I saw.
They're not talking, right? They're not saying. But something crazy happened to me yesterday. I got on a call with a fund that I know well, and then someone from another fund that I know well joined that group, and I was on the chat, like we were talking, right? And then the audio switched out, and I couldn't hear anything. And this pop-up came up saying I need to download this thing to get the audio to fix, which I did. And then I immediately realized I afterwards messaged these people. None of them were on that chat with me. I don't know how they did it, but the level of sophistication of the spear phishing, I'd received emails from people that I knew. I checked out, right? I'd communicated with them. My assistant. It was the deepest level of sophistication for a spear phishing attack by 10x that I've ever seen. And so, they compromised my machine. So luckily, I've got layers of defense here, and it was
you're the last guy that this is proof. You see, I remember, I can't remember his name, but we've had a lot of people who are extremely sophisticated, cautious, and one day you just click the link.
Dude,
right?
I was in
the last
Zoom
guy on earth I would ever, and I'm not blaming you. You're in a Zoom. Why would you? But I'm saying
with video, right?
Who are you talking to?
I don't. It may have been AI. The whole thing may have been AI generated. It's insane.
And what were they? What was the link doing? It was a Trojan horse or something, some sort of virus that.
Yeah.
Fuck. Sorry. I mean, that's awful. I mean, this guy got, I don't know. There's been no information here. So he was, kidnapped in the morning, released the next evening. There was a demand for a substantial ransom in crypto. We don't know if they paid it or how they got him back. There was the police. It says he's in the hospital, I guess. I mean, this is.
I'm going to get myself some Android bodyguards, man.
Yeah, you got to get one of those Tesla robot Optimus things.
Exactly. Just walk around with a small army of those.
Dude, that would be pretty gangster, to be honest. Like even just to have them around. Yeah, nobody's messing with it.
I'm not even joking. I've been looking into it.
Humans can't do it because they'll just get spearfished. Like the person you give access and trust to your security is going to click a link.
They took over my bodyguard Android. He kidnapped me.
Yeah, that's coming too. That's just a hack, right? I mean, that's just a hack. That's terrifying.
This is 2 years away.
Man, it's scary out there. Listen, I'm looking forward to us kind of continuing these chats on Thursdays. I really think that it's important that we highlight what can be done on Bitcoin and try to focus there. Listen, I think I'm a huge fan. Everybody knows, like I'm a huge fan of the technology and the entire space, but nothing would be better than if Bitcoin became the settlement layer for everything happening on those other chains.
Well, it's happening. We're making it happen. Scott, thanks so much for having me. I look forward to chatting with you every week. It's gonna be
all
awesome.
right, man. Have fun at the World Economic Forum. I know you're not there right now, but
all right. Thank you, man.
All right, guys. Thanks. All right, man. Awesome chat there. That is terrifying to me. Man, the security side of crypto is so scary. I don't even, like I had a friend who lost like $1 million last cycle. I can't remember the token it was, but he joined, he was a passionate community member of some token. This guy's a chiropractor. And somehow he got fished into a matching Telegram group that had all the same people in there, but they were bots, including the moderators of the chat, the heads. So he thought that he was in the exact chat somehow that he had been in forever for this community, but somehow they flipped it and put it up at the top of his Telegram. And eventually, I mean, he knows better, but it was like 5:30 in the morning. He was like tired from a flight and waking up, and there was an airdrop that was, everybody knew there was an airdrop for this product, and somehow they got him. They were like, the airdrop's not working. He'd been in this chat, and they got him to send his keys, like in a moment of weakness at 5:30 in the morning, and drained an entire wallet for over $1 million. I mean, it's just wild. Someone said, check tweet Cynthia Lummis. That let's before I bring Dan on, I'm just gonna check and see what that's about. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and bring Dan on, and then we can discuss what's happening if it comes. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. That was definitely eye-opening, and just sent out my warning to everybody about the sophistication of the scams.
Tweet now. Yeah, I mean, it's wild.
Yeah, and Bitcoin and bullshit, instantly in my head, the Biggie song "Party and Bullshit," but
Bitcoin
with changed lyrics.
Bullshit,
yeah,
and Bitcoin and bullshit. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Okay, you just gave me in my old DJ days. Now I've even got another idea for the theme song. It's gonna be so good. Okay, I'm gonna make a theme song and everything. All right, man. But what are we looking at here in the market? Right, we have this title: "Huge opportunity for Bitcoin traders is coming." I think we still have consensus that the top's not in, and we're likely to have a cycle and go up. So the question is that going to be buying at like sub 90, or is that going to be on a breakout to the upside?
Yeah, right now it's easy in the sense that it's just a battle for 100,000. The bell just rang for the market, and Bitcoin liked it, so instant shot up there. But daily EMA 12, I just want to see it ride that. I never like bull breaks with no follow through, which is what we had over the weekend with the inauguration and all that. But if you could just keep holding this daily EMA 12, that's A-okay. It's like a seatbelt where the bulls are just fine. And I like the 12-hour for clarity. It's really just a tightening, what I call the equilibrium. You top out the higher low, lower high. We just set the higher low. So how this 12-hour range breaks probably over the weekend is going to give us some short-term. But again, it's just a battle for 100,000. And whether you're using daily EMA 12 as your guide or 100,000 as a guide, that's the burden is on bears at the moment to tell us that this is a significant rejection from the all-time high, which they haven't done yet at this point. And plenty of altcoins are riding their weekly EMA 12. I mean, here's just an example of ADA. Same mindset. If we could just keep holding this EMA 12, which is trending up, that keeps the bulls in control. So I always like having something nice and clear like that. And we have it on the daily for Bitcoin at the moment.
So I found it. If we're talking about Bitcoin catalyst, obviously Cynthia Lummis, the senator from Wyoming, who is the one that actually proposed the strategic reserve bill. For anybody who doesn't know, Trump came out and gave a speech in July at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. She immediately ran out on stage and presented the bill. Well, she just tweeted, "Big things are coming with a Bitcoin B." and said, stay tuned for 10 a.m. That's in 23 minutes.
Wow. And that's interesting. You see the timing of that tweet, 9:16, which is here. And this is, it looks like
pumping.
I would assume
that's why.
It's ETFs, I would assume, though, because it was right when the bell rang. So there's nothing, the 14 minutes after her tweet is nothing. Huge volume right when the bell rings. To me, that says probably ETF, but who knows? Either way, it's bullish.
She's the yeah. I mean, that's that buying or front running. But I guess if people see this tweet at 9:16 and the market opens at 9:30, the people who are trading it via ETFs and such and buying Bitcoin, that was kind of when you would expect to see a pump. That's pretty big. So, listen, I guess we're gonna tune in and see what's happening there. But for now, what else are you looking at?
The crypto stocks had a nice setup. They were a top watch for me this morning because a Bitcoin 12-hour higher low was most likely for me. And they also had these nice little daily inside bars yesterday. So you could see MSTR held a low of yesterday. Well, it broke it by 25 cents, but held the low of yesterday. And again, the bell rang and just shot up. So I'm liking the clarity of the short-term support on some of these crypto stocks. Just looking at the broader market, last week we looked at this potential falling wedge. It was a falling wedge. We just went straight up from the bear break, V-shape style. So that's a good thing just as far as sentiment is concerned. Still, as you mentioned, the issues fundamentally with ETH right now. But, we've been watching a lot of falling wedges recently, and ETH is still trying to shape up a daily falling wedge. So this is what I'm keeping an eye on. Nothing's going on as long as we're sideways, but this is worth keeping an eye on. And if ETH can break this bullish, I like the ENS setup. I don't watch ENS much, but there's a very clear wall of resistance here, pretty much, just under 38 to just above 38. And whenever I see an altcoin, I first look at the, USD chart and say, all right, there's a line in the sand. If that breaks, it would be significant. That's been resistance now for a month. And then I go to the BTC pairing chart and I say, okay, ENS BTC, I like the clarity of the monthly here. It's again, just another long equilibrium, a year in the making, and worth watching for a monthly higher low. And if this thing could break bull, that would tell us that ENS is making a big time breakout. And, the reason, this is where I marry fundamentals and technicals. I see that the Trumps are doing some things with the ENS names, and I say, all right, I'm going to check the chart. And then I see a potential setup. And so, it's worth keeping an eye on if ENS can get over that wall.
I'm just laughing because Trump controls this. He bought the entire crypto market at this point. It's his. Whatever they do now at least at this moment in time is what everybody's watching. You know what I mean? What does World Liberty Financial buy, or what meme coin is launched next, or what, just dying for him to make an executive order that even mentions crypto. I mean, it's like he controls, it's a small market and he effectively controls it at this point.
And you see it on the big markets too. I mean, you got Zuckerberg completely changing who he is as a person.
No, dude, that's his original authentic self, Dan.
It's wild to just
He did not hire a PR agency to redo his entire image and put him up. No, he didn't start dressing like Elon Musk. That's who he originally was. Who he's always been.
Follow the money.
Oh my God, it's crazy. But yeah, okay. So what else are you looking at in the meantime? I think we're just this is just waiting for a catalyst. This sort of volatility should be coming. It's going to be one word that's going to send this thing in either direction at this point, and altcoins are going to actions completely going to be determined by what happens with that Bitcoin move, I think.
Yeah, I mean, what I always love, just because it's the pattern that's happened and I'm most comfortable with it, is when Bitcoin leads to a breakout, all-time highs ideally, confidence, or everybody says, yep, bulls are back in complete control. Dominance goes up on that move because Bitcoin leads, and then we get the dominance dropping as the profits rotate to altcoins. And again, this dominance chart, this weekly equilibrium, is tightening up, and sometime in February is going to break. And I would like to see it break bear, because that does mean that, the altcoins are getting a move and that profits are rotating around. But again, the direction that this tightening range breaks is going to have significant implications for, the rest of Q1, in my opinion. So definitely worth paying attention to. We can keep tightening up for another couple of weeks within it. But again, when's the last time we've had a clear equilibrium like this in the dominance, I don't even know. It's years at the least. So
yeah, it's just been climbing, right? So this is the first indication that it might stop. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, burdens on bears. The same thing. Prove to us that it's alt season. You got to lose these higher lows that have formed thus far.
Yeah,
other
just
than
to be
that,
clear really quick, so I just want to tell people, Lummis has 2 accounts. She has her personal account and the actual Senator Lummis account, and she tweeted this on the actual Senator Lummis account. Because when I searched for it also, I didn't see the post on her personal account. She has 2 big Twitter accounts, basically.
10 a.m.,
Right.
17 minutes. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right.
Love when a
Other than
senator
that,
pumps our bags.
other than that, just a lot of altcoin tightening ranges. Again, the 12 hours where I'm finding clarity. This is Sol, 12-hour higher low, then a lower high, trying for the higher low. So just tightening up here. But again, if we get an announcement in 20 minutes that is, Bitcoin centric, then
We will.
in an ideal world, yeah, I would assume so. In an ideal world, Bitcoin all-time high, lead the way, and then we look for maybe the weekend again to be. That was a fun couple of weeks there where we got the weekends were for altcoin trading again. Maybe 3 weeks that lasted, but I'd like to see that revived.
So how are you looking at broader markets right now? It seems, making new all-time highs here on the S&P. So obviously there's some confidence in what's happening, but to me, it still feels kind of choppy and indecisive.
Yeah. I mean, we just gapped up on SPY 6 days in a row, which I don't know if I've ever seen that happen. It's that V shape that has happened. It happened in October 23. It happened in August 24, where the bears finally get some momentum, and then it is ended with just a V shape right off the low. And bulls are trying to do that again. And so, there are no red flags in the broader market as far as I'm concerned. I am watching for a blow off top, but at this point, I need another 10% higher for that to be aligning. So, always keep an eye out, but no, not worried about anything at this point. With the size of the recovery we've seen over the last week. And, essentially what my concern would be if everybody's pouring as much money as they can into markets for the Trump 4 years, and then we reach a point, later on in the year, all right, who's left to buy at this point? That's when we could see some more significant pullback. But again, nothing in the short term that's concerning. A couple non-crypto things before we end here. Lithium 6-month chart just had a monster move for years, and then has just done nothing for years. And I'm looking for a long-term higher low. And we're back testing. This is LIT. It's the ETF. It's not very liquid. So it's got to be a swing longer-term mindset. But just back testing previous resistance, trying to hold it as support. Just something that I'm keeping an eye out for. Essentially what I'd be watching is, again, in this show, we've already looked at 8 different equilibriums on different time frames. But it's the most common pattern in markets. So I'd be looking for something like that. Just something to keep an eye out. Bigger picture.
Yeah, man. I'm just like in suspense for 15 minutes.
Right. I guess
it's gonna be like, I don't know, because it's got to be an executive order because she's already filed for the bill. So it's not like that's on the Senate floor today or something or passed, right? We would all know about that. So I think it's going to be interesting. But look at that move. Yeah,
I mean, we're heading right up. Just if it's underwhelming, we'll reject from 107 here and keep tightening up. So that's on the table as well. Don't FOMO in, everybody, unless it's huge news that the market.
The time to FOMO in was 9:16 a.m. when she tweeted, guys.
Yeah.
That was your moment to FOMO in. Just so you know, you had to buy Trump in the first hour. Come on. What do you make of Trump? I got to ask everyone. What do you make of it?
I'm dumbfounded. I don't like it. I don't think it's a good thing for the name of the crypto space. But again, if it brings people into the altcoin space, I can see how people would like that. But these people, I don't like it. And what can you do? I have a friend who's been trading, full time 7 years. He's anti-Trump, and that's the biggest trade he's had in his life. So you got to put your emotions aside and get your piece of the pie.
Are you saying that there's a person out there that did not buy this token as a collectible, as the disclaimer says on the site, and that he did not buy it to support as a bet on Trump's campaign, that he bought it for speculative reasons to make money? Is that what you're saying? Because that seems to not be the reason that they launched it according to securities law.
Yeah, 800% in 24 hours. Again, doesn't like Trump, but can detach himself and see the opportunity. And that's essentially what we have to be doing as traders to make it, in this market long term. And so hats off to everybody that, was able to take advantage of it. But just be aware that the other side of that is you're going to have a whole lot of long-term bag holders that
no, it's going to go up forever, at least for 4 years. But they can't talk about that because it's a collectible. This token is a collectible for you. That's, it is not meant to go up. There's no, that's why they held 80% of the supply and sniped 80% of the existing. That's what, no, guys, listen, it's not really a meme coin. I'm just going to say this. Like, I was pretty convinced by Haseeb. They're not doing anything illegal. I don't think it will not fall under securities law, I'm sure. But like, it's a guy's name. Everyone's buying it because of that guy's tweet and name, which is a promoter, which is like one of the biggest factors of the Howey test. And if it was a meme token, they would have put all the supply on the market and let the free market decide. It wouldn't have VC vesting schedule, like without the VCs where they own all of it. It's the most gratuitous cash grab in history. I'm here for it because I believe in freedom and people can do whatever they want, but it's kind of gross.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys can follow Chart Guys. We're all going to be eyes peeled on the news for 11 minutes. I'm sure we'll be wildly disappointed by whatever happens. Whatever. Or we'll forget about it in 45 minutes.
We're going to be right at resistance as this comes out. So
it's going to be perfect. Yeah. So that's obviously at about 11 minutes. Follow Chart Guys. Guys, seriously, check out all of Dan's other content. Really amazing. Cool, calm, and collected. Will even trade Trump token if he disagrees with it, because he's a trader, and that's what traders do. That's all we got. I had to go figure out what we're going to do on Spaces because it's at 10:15, and we're going to have an announcement, which means we're going to have to, figure some things out. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow for the Friday 5. Dan back next Thursday, and see you on Spaces in about 25 minutes. Have a good one. Later.
That's dope.